Aiden is standing by and as he's watching out for your money this morning.
Yeah, we're talking real estate, so there's some big changes coming into how you buy or sell real estate. New rules rolling out just tomorrow, overhauling the way realtors get paid when they help people buy and sell homes. And kind of confusing, so joining me how to explain this is Greg Remmers, CEO and designated broker at RE/MAX. Greg, good to see you. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Troy.
All right, so in the traditional buying and selling of a home, it was mostly the seller's responsibility, right? So you're taking profit out of your house to pay the commission for both the real estate agent of the buyer and their own real estate agent. And that's changing now. That traditionally was 6%. How did those rules change?
Yeah, I mean, with the settlement, with the the National Association of Realtors settlement, it basically is instituting some procedures to basically empower the consumer, empowering the consumer more in negotiating compensation.
Okay, so explain that to me. So it's really the buyer of the house, correct?
Yes,
okay.
That's correct. So two major changes. The big change is going to be when a buyer is ready to start that process, and in the home buying process, they need to enter into a formal agreement with a realtor.
Who's going to help them search around, look at the listings, and help them look at the houses
Absolutely.
they might want to buy?
Correct.
Okay.
So it's a different approach than what we've traditionally seen. Some agents have done that, but the majority of them, it's just been kind of a short conversation and an explaining of compensation and whatnot, but nothing formalized.
So let me stop you right now.
Yeah.
In the old days, you would find somebody to help you find a house, and you wouldn't have to worry about what to pay them because they would get their 3%, you would think, from the person selling the house. But what's changed now is, if I'm looking for a house, I find a real estate agent, and I have to have that conversation before. Hey, can you help me find a house? I'll give you 1%, or I'll give you 2%. And that's a negotiation you have to have that didn't exist before.
That's correct. So now the buyer's agent is basically going to have to sit down. It's going to be a buyer consultation. It's going to talk about, here's the value I bring to the table, articulate their value, and talk about the home buying process. Because in order for a buyer to enter into a formal employment agreement with that buyer, I mean, the buyer needs to feel comfortable and being have the opportunity to listen to that agent and negotiate compensation.
What's appropriate in terms of negotiating? It used to be 3%. Is it appropriate to offer 2%?
I think that's probably the biggest misconception of the settlement is that, I think what's been portrayed is that, commissions have been set, but it's always been negotiable. Okay, it's always been negotiable. And traditionally, yes. Traditionally, yes, you can rely on a lot of sellers. A majority of sellers offer compensation to kind of offset those costs to the buyers.
So if I'm going to buy a house, I go to the person selling the house and say, look, I want to buy your house, but work with me on this. Can you give my agent 2 or 3%, or help split it with me?
That's right. And those conversations are actually going to happen even more now because with the next changes that, those offers of compensation, which would traditionally have been offered on MLS, are not going to be allowed to be marketed on MLS. So it's going to foster further conversation, further negotiation between buyer's agent and seller's agent to offset those costs that the buyer has entered into an agreement to pay. Yeah.
Greg, thank you so much. If people want to contact you, how do they do it?
Just call. I'm at RE/MAX Fine Properties, and be happy to help you.
Thanks for coming in.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Troy.
Okay, Emily, over to you.